Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. We got my boy Ernest back on the channel. I feel like it's been 2 years since we've had you on the show, but we are reunited and it feels so good. So thank you for hopping on, Ernest. I appreciate the time, buddy. How are you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm great, man. Anytime I get to talk about Miami Heat basketball, life in general, man, I'm with it. Do it, my dude. I know the fans have been asking for this for a while, guys. We're sorry. We know we were doing the roundtables, but life gets in the way. People change. People's schedules change. I'm just glad that we're doing this again. Are we calling this Dos Minutos?
We can call it Dos Minutos. I mean, we haven't done it in a while. So yeah, this is technically Dos Minutos.
Dos Minutos. Let's
Anytime
go,
Ernest
Heat
and I get
Nation.
back together, this is the 2 minute warning. So Ernest, the Miami Heat season was horrible. Obviously, they were 37 and 45. They finished 10th in the Eastern Conference, and it was a shit show. Obviously, the story of the year was the whole Jimmy Butler drama. Obviously, requesting the trade, getting suspended for like 20 something games. Like once that happened, the season was basically over, right? So there was the good, there was the bad, the ugly, and it was a rough season, right? So, but the Miami Heat have a chance still somehow to make the play-in game after losing their best player, after dealing with some injuries, after blowing the most second half double-digit leads, fourth quarter leads, and losing the most games within 5 points or less in the NBA. This Heat team could still do something really funny, which would be make the playoffs. And I think it's very possible. So we're playing the Bulls tomorrow night in the play-in 9-10 game at Chicago. Is it still called the United Center? I don't know. But yeah, it's in Chicago. If we win, then we play the winner of the 7th and 8th seed, which is the Hawks and the Magic. So before we get into that, though, Ernest, I've been bringing this up on past videos, but I want to get your opinion. So if the Miami Heat make the playoffs, they only get one pick, and that's the Golden State Warriors pick. It is lottery protected, but there's a small chance that they're going to get the top 10 pick. Most likely, they're going to get anywhere from 18 to 20. So if we make the playoffs, we only get one pick. If we miss the playoffs, we get two picks. We get the pick that we owe the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that pick is 80% going to be 11th. We have like a 7 or 8% chance to get a top 4 pick. Very unlikely, but possible. Of those two routes, what is your personal preference? Do you want the Heat to make the playoffs, get that experience for young players, and then have that one pick? And the last piece I forgot to mention, which you obviously know this, most fans do, some don't. If we make the playoffs, our two picks that we owe to the Thunder and OKC, or the OKC Thunder and the Hornets, will be lottery protected in the future. So that's another bonus in case the Miami Heat suck in the next few years. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, look, dude, it's a win-win situation regardless because of the way that you explained it. Now, me personally, I mean, on my channel, I've been a big proponent on making the playoffs because, yeah, your season extends. I'm a Heat fan, so I want to see us continue to play. But secondly, you get those future protections lifted. And guys, that's a big deal because if you're making a trade, you want more draft capital. Now, let's take trades out of the equation. What's better for the Heat? To have 2 first-round draft picks in a loaded 2025 draft class. Now, the Golden State pick, it's not it's top 10 protected. So the Heat are going to get it regardless because even if Golden State lose out of the play-in tonight against Memphis and they lose that other game, they're not going to be bottom 10, I believe. So the Heat will still keep their pick.
Yep.
Now you can potentially have 2 draft picks that are both in the lottery. So now you have 2 shots at getting at least the top 5 pick. You have Cooper Flag, you have Dylan Harper, you have BJ Edgecombe. There's another name there that I'm not forgetting. He's a highly
He's the other Rutgers guy, Bailey. I forgot his name.
Yes, there we go, Dylan Bailey. So there's a lot of players, especially after the top 5. This is a loaded class. So if the Miami Heat have 2 shots at this draft. And look at what we've done previously with our draft picks: Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Kalel Ware. We're not mentioning Precious Achua, but Nikola Jovic as well. They've hit on all these picks, and they've been picking in the mid-tier. So I think Adam Simon with 2 first-round draft picks, it'll be nice. It'll be a steal. Let's not also forget the fact that, yeah, you're right. The Heat had a very dramatic season with Jimmy Butler. But what did we do? What did we do by trading Jimmy Butler? We've stopped this whole running it back facade that we've been doing the last few years. So what's going to happen is this is going to be the first offseason since 2016 where the Miami Heat are going to be under the luxury tax. What does this do? This gives them their full mid-level exception, which is about $13 million. It gives them their biannual exception, which is almost $6 million. Now you're going to have 2 extra salaries where you can go out there and get players that can help you now. With those 2 potential first-round draft picks, with bringing back Bam, Tyler, Khalil, Jaime Jaquez, hopefully he doesn't clap the wrong cheeks, but Nikola Jovic, Pallel Larson, Keshad Johnson, Josh Christopher. I mean, this team can be a breakout team potentially next season if you keep them together. So I think having 2 first-round draft picks, especially in a loaded class, is perfect. And I was a big proponent on making the playoffs and, not only keeping 1 pick, but now the more that I think about it, especially the way that we finished this season, 14 games the Miami Heat lost with having a lead in the 4th quarter. 14 games, Amir.
Yep.
Where the Miami Heat potentially could have won games and lost those games in the 4th quarter. 12 of I'm sorry. No, I'm so sorry. I'm wrong. It was 16 games. 14 of those where the Heat had double-digit leads. So what that shows me is that this team can win games. This team can get to the next level because they're getting these leads. The problem is they're not keeping it. So you need Tyler Hero to step up, Bam Adebayo to step up, maybe a few changes in the roster, drafting a player who's going to be that next guy. There's a lot of possibility for this Miami Heat to get better next season. So yeah, if you ask me, shoot, if we lose on Wednesday and we get to have 2 first-round draft picks, 2 of them potentially in the lottery, I like our odds.
Yeah, I mean, I can go. I agree. Like, I want them to make the playoffs because I'm a Heat fan, and like more Heat basketball is better than no Heat basketball, in my
Right.
opinion. But I'm also not crazy to understand that, like, perhaps for the betterment of this team, it might be better that we do get 2 first-round picks. One, because then we add 2 younger pieces to our roster, and we kind of focus on that like soft rebuild because it's this retooling essentially because
Exactly.
we have Tyler Hero's an all-star. Bam, you know, had a mediocre season. Like I'll give him like a B, perhaps maybe B minus at worst on his season, but he is an all-star caliber player. We have 2 guys that are good, but again, we have a lot of young pieces around them, and so this could kind of be like a Houston Rockets situation, or even OKC Thunder. Like we don't have that MVP caliber guy
Yep.
yet, but like we could, be bad for a couple years, be like young and try to develop chemistry, then add a piece to become an actual contender eventually, like the Thunder did, or even the Rockets to a certain degree. I mean, that they did it more through the draft because they were actually very bad and got, the 3rd pick, the 5th pick, whatever, the 16th pick.
Yep.
So they did it mostly through the draft, and they added people like Brooks and Fred VanVleet, who are not like superstar players. So they did it more through being actual bad lottery teams. So it's not the same for the Miami Heat because we're not that bad. So I don't think it'll take that much longer for us to potentially break out. To your point, it might take a few seasons where Tyler's still 25, Bam's still 27. If we keep Wiggins perhaps, and Nico develops, and Jaime bounces back after a horrible year, and if Kalel Ware steps up even further, and we add those 2 picks, like in 2 to 3 seasons, we could be a solid contending team, or we could fast track that by getting like a Kevin Durant or like a Trey Young or a Zion or whoever. And then if we have those 2 picks, we could also trade those 2 picks then. So I guess it is a good thing that if we don't make the playoffs, because that could also fast track us adding a 3rd all-star, which this Miami Heat team needs to contend next year.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, because if the Heat have 2 first-round draft, and here's the thing, like, and what you're saying right now, I've seen a lot of people say that, especially in comments, like for Heat platforms. Here's one thing that people don't realize: why it's kind of better for the Heat not to make the playoffs and keep those future picks in the draft. if you don't trade those picks on the draft, you have to sign them to contracts. And then those contracts become untradeable for 30 days. What happens after the draft? Free agency period begins. So now if you have your draft picks and you've signed them to contracts when free agency begins, you can't trade those players. And now you don't have your 2026 and 2028 pick to trade. So not making the playoffs actually puts the Miami Heat in a hole when it comes to making trades. Because now they can't trade a pick until possibly 2029, 2031. Those will be the only picks that you can potentially trade. So if you're looking at it from a trade perspective, it's better for the Heat to make the playoffs since those protections get lifted. But if you're looking at it from the way that you just said, Amir, about retooling and making this team better now, then not making the playoffs is better simply because you get those two picks. Because these are two players that can help you now. And then you have expiring contracts like god awful Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson. Andrew Wiggins is on the last year of his contract next year before the player option. So he can even have a final year of his contract. So now you can get 2 draft picks. You can have over $80 million in cap space for the 2026 offseason with your younger players. You need to decide what you're going to do with Tyler Hero. Obviously, if you don't trade him, you're most likely going to give him that extension since he's made the All-Star team. So yes, it's kind of a win-win, but here's what I will say. If Eric Spoelstra was the general manager, if Adam Simon was the general manager, if Alonzo Mourning was the general manager, then I can look at this team keeping Tyler and Bam and moving for the future and building this core where, yes, in a year to two, I believe this team can contend if you put the right pieces around this youth movement team. But Pat Riley just turned 80, and Pat Riley has been hell-bent on winning a championship since 2013. He wants to win one more title before he rides into the sunset. So I personally believe that Riley is not going to go the youth movement way. I think, and Brian Scalabrine recently said this, I think Miami's going to try to go all in for a star this offseason. Simply because they're going to have draft capital, they're going to have young assets, and they're going to have flexibility financially. So because Pat Riley is still a president of this team, I don't think they're going to go youth movement. I think they're going to go after a Kevin Durant. And I mentioned this on my channel earlier today. Why do I say Kevin Durant? Because if you're going after Ant-Man, Ja Morant, Jokic, Trae Young, some of these players you mentioned, you are going to have to give up the farm to get these players. As where Kevin Durant, who's requested to go to the Miami Heat in the past, who the Heat and and Durant have had mutual interest since 2016. Kevin Durant might be your best option simply because you don't have to give up everyone. You can do a package with Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, Jaime Jaquez, and 2 future first-round draft picks.
Hopefully
One. But remember, you might
probably
have to
need
compete.
to. I see what you're saying, but yeah,
You have to compete with other teams. So I'm saying worst case scenario, you can throw on the 2029 and the 2031 first round draft pick for Kevin Durant. He's a 1-year rental. I prefer 1 draft pick and maybe a second. But he's a 1-year rental. But what Kevin Durant, you put Kevin Durant on this roster with this team, what does he do? Those 16 games that you lost in the fourth quarter, 14 of those by double digits. I guarantee we don't lose that much if Kevin Durant's out there. Because what happened in the fourth quarter? The first 3 quarters, the Miami Heat were the best team in the NBA. But in the fourth quarter, we were a team like running around with chickens like their heads cut off. They didn't know what the hell to do. Kevin Durant will know what to do in the fourth quarter. You need a closer. You need that guy. And it needs to be the scorer. Jimmy Butler was supposed to be that. Dog, you know what's crazy? You look at this team right now with Khalil Ware dominating the way he has. If Jimmy Butler just stopped the bullshit and just played and stuck with this team, this Miami Heat team, I feel could have competed with Cleveland and Boston with Jimmy Butler. But because of all that crap, because of all that mierda, because he wanted his money, we'll never know. And that's a heartbreaker.
yeah. Yeah, Kevin Durant seems like the most affordable, most likely because of his age. And yeah, like if you want Ant or you want Giannis or Jovic or Jokic, excuse me, Jovic, you're trading Bam and Tyler. Like if I'm the Denver Nuggets, I'm like, you give me Bam and Tyler, I'll give you Jokic and
at least one of them.
Jokic and whatever KCP
Yeah.
or whoever, not KCP. What's his name? Michael Porter Jr., like whoever
Yeah.
make the salaries match, like
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy package where you're gonna have to give up Tyler, Khalil, Nicola, like what's
3
the
picks,
point?
everything.
Yeah.
Like it's
What's the point?
yeah,
You're
exactly.
gutting your team.
Unless we were the Los Angeles Lakers and we get fucking gifted a All NBA top 5 player like Luka, who's fat, who likes to drink alcohol, but still averaging a triple double and get. I don't want to talk about that. We can talk about that.
I'm
But look,
about to say that's a different conversation.
they got one first round pick, like and like Max Christie and AD who got hurt like 5 seconds into his first game. AD is amazing. He's a top 12, 13, 14 player today, but he's made out of glass. Like that's the issue. He's 31. So the Miami Heat are not lucky like that. The NBA rigs it for the Lakers, obviously, right?
Yeah.
With Donaghy, the ref, and this trade through Nico Harrison. But anyway, so before we close, so what's your prediction for tomorrow? Do you think the Heat pull off the victory, or do they go 0-4 against the Bulls? They have our number. We can't stop them in transition. Giddey has looked like freaking Luka, essentially, like a Luka light. Not as good as a shooter, but he looks amazing against the Miami Heat. I don't know why we can't stop him, but what are your thoughts? And we'll close.
Dude, I mean, 0-3 against the Bulls. We're playing in Chicago. I mean, all signs point to a Heat loss. I'm gonna be watching tomorrow. I'm rooting for the Heat to win because I'm just a fan. So as much as I feel, oh yeah, losing will give us 2 draft picks and that'll be cool. That's kind of like a band-aid feeling if we lose tomorrow, where I'm not like
Yeah,
upset.
good
But
point.
if we win, shit, let's go. Let's go. I'm all for going. I'm all for competing. I'm all for trying, bro. Like in life, Michael Jordan has said this before. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Or I think it was Wayne Gretzky. I don't know. But
Kobe
still,
or Kobe
go.
was it?
All of them.
You miss
All
every
of them.
shot you don't take, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them have probably said that. But what I'm trying to say is, if you have an opportunity to go for something, and that's not just basketball, it's in life in general. And I know this because I was a former WWE, AEW wrestler, and I've done things in my life, and I wouldn't have gotten there if I just wouldn't have believed myself and tried. And that's how I feel. You're a 10th seed, boo hoo. You have the worst record since 2015, boo hoo. Go and do something. It's like
Fix it.
yeah, it's like Leonardo DiCaprio said in Wolf of Wall Street, when he was talking to his closers. Your house is about to get foreclosed. Good, pick up the phone and make some calls. You can't pay your rent. Good, pick up the phone and make some calls. That's the same way I feel when it comes to this team. You're a 10 seed. You lost 10 straight games, but you're still in it. Boo hoo. Go play and win that game. So I feel that we're probably not going to win tomorrow, but if we do, I'm gonna talk so much shit. It's gonna be great.
All right, so you are technically picking the Bulls before we close.
Yeah, man. I mean, all signs point to the Bulls winning tomorrow, and yeah, it's technically beneficial for us. But shoot, I want us to win.
I feel you on that. And yeah, I'm hoping they win, man. I'm a Heat fan. I don't openly root for my team to lose, but this was one season where I was not upset after every loss, especially during that like 10-game losing streak. Like
Yeah,
we're not going to tank. That's loser mentality. Like, but still, like I wasn't upset because the product has been so bad for many different reasons, right? Obviously, the Jimmy Butler thing is a big piece of it, but still,
that's a huge
I
reason why.
won't be
That's
upset if
why.
we lose. I won't. To your point, we have the consolation prize of getting 2 picks. If we lose, I'll be pissed off for a second, but then realize that's good for the future. If we win, more Heat basketball, an opportunity to get to the postseason. What's wrong with that, right? So anyway,
Exactly.
thank you so much for hopping on, Ernest. Appreciate your time. And before I hop off, everybody just make sure you guys go check out Ernest's channel, Miami Heat Talk, and subscribe to his channel. Thanks for hopping on.
And that is enough said. Thank you, Amir.